Tonight, we're exploring why your brain wasn't really made for the world you live in. The lights may be dim, your body's still, but somewhere behind your eyes, your brain hums on. A soft buzz of calculations, judgments, memories, alerts. It doesn't matter that you're safe, that your door is locked, that nothing's chasing you in the dark. Because the truth is, your brain evolved for a different kind of night. You drift through a mental forest now, not a concrete one. Around you, soft moonlight filters through imagined branches. The sound of wind in trees you've never touched. Underfoot, leaves that never crunch. You can almost hear the breath of the ancestors whose lives shaped your thoughts, even though you've never seen their faces. Your brain is old, older than buildings, older than books. It was born in the slow rhythm of survival, before agriculture, before written language, before alarm clocks and social feeds. It is a machine built to notice threats in the grass, to seek warmth and firelight, to follow the gaze of a tribe. It wasn't built for grocery aisles or emails or overhead lighting that pretends it's still day. So before you get too comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you enjoy quiet stories like this. And if you're still awake, maybe post your location and your local time. It's always a little comforting to know we're all drifting together, even from far away. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You begin with a walk, not through your neighborhood, but through time. Your footsteps fall softly on a ground your body remembers, but your eyes don't recognize. The terrain is gentle and slow, like an old memory returning. Back then, really back then, there were no cities, just open air, forest canopies, starlight and sound. Your ancestors walked under those stars, checking for predators, whispering low to one another, watching the patterns in the sky. They listened. A lot. To the rustling of brush, to the crackle of a fire, to the stillness. The brain that you carry now learned to survive in those conditions. It learned to prioritize noise, sudden movement, unfamiliar smells. It learned to fear silence that lasted too long, and it learned to never quite relax unless it was surrounded by trusted people. And that same brain? It now tries to process dozens of unread messages, the glow of a phone screen, the sound of delivery scooters and flickering LEDs. Your brain, bless it, is trying very hard to treat all these things as normal. But it knows. Deep down, it knows something's off. Here's a quietly fascinating fact. Nearly 95% of human evolution took place before the invention of agriculture. That means your brain's foundational wiring is hunter-gatherer wiring. Your default emotional systems, threat responses, reward loops, all of them are ancient systems operating in a modern simulation. An eerie thought, maybe. The brain you use to scroll Instagram is the same one that once navigated caves and hunted by torchlight. It's like running a Stone Age operating system on a 5G device. Researchers still wonder if this mismatch is responsible for the rising tide of mental fatigue and emotional burnout in the developed world. Could it be that nothing's actually wrong with us, except the pace of change? That we're not broken, just outdated? You keep walking through this imagined prehistoric world. You feel the earth firm under your feet. You hear the soft calls of insects, the occasional hoot of an owl, and you begin to realize this quiet is familiar, almost comforting. The stress, the noise, the constant inputs of modern life, they're not your natural habitat. They are recent, sudden, overwhelming. But your nervous system still longs for rhythm, for cycles, for slowness. Even now, in the safety of your bed, your heart beats like it did thousands of years ago. Your lungs rise and fall in ancient patterns. Your thoughts drift like smoke from a fire you can't quite see. There's something sacred about recognizing that your brain is not broken. It's just playing a role it was given a long time ago. A role that made sense in the savannah, but struggles in a supermarket. You might wonder, if evolution crafted such a beautifully adaptive organ, why hasn't it caught up to modern life? But the pace of technology outstrips biology. Phones update every month. Brains take thousands of years. So the next time you feel overwhelmed by alerts or paralyzed by decisions, remember, your brain isn't failing. It's remembering. It's remembering a slower world, one where the stars were more useful than GPS, where rest wasn't a luxury, but a rhythm. That's where we begin tonight. And there's more to come. But you don't need to prepare. Just breathe. Just listen. Just let the ancient story of your mind unfold. You keep walking. Not in a place you recognize with your eyes, but in a place your body has always known. The ground beneath you feels soft with moss and earth, just cool enough to wake your senses without jarring them. Overhead, leafy branches sway gently, filtering the moonlight into quiet silver pools. You don't rush. There is no reason to, because this is your natural pace. Long before alarm clocks and schedules, your ancestors moved like this: slow, alert, intentional. They didn't multitask. They didn't optimize. They noticed. They remembered the call of each bird, the scent of a plant that healed, the taste of a berry that did not. And inside you, those instincts are still there. Your modern life might seem complex, full of choices and noise, but your brain, at its core, still thinks like a hunter-gatherer. It looks for patterns, scans for danger, and finds safety in rhythm. Even your decisions, what to eat, who to trust, where to go, are shaped by echoes of that ancient life. Here's a quietly fascinating fact. Most of your brain's energy goes not to solving problems, but to predicting. Every second, it's running silent simulations, trying to guess what's next, just like it did when tracking prey or watching the skies for storms. Even now, lying still, your brain is subtly mapping your room. The corners, the light, the sounds, just beyond the walls. It's doing what it has always done, protecting you by preparing for what might come. But in a world of constant stimulation, those prediction circuits can get overwhelmed. Too many inputs, too few patterns. Your brain tries to interpret a coworker's tone, then a traffic light, then the subtext of a news headline, then the pause before a text message reply. The result is a soft kind of exhaustion, not the kind you feel in your limbs, but behind your eyes, in your thoughts. A tension that builds, unnoticed, like a rope slowly tightening. You weren't meant to process this much, this fast. In the hunter-gatherer world, information came slowly. You'd spend hours watching an animal's trail or waiting for berries to ripen. Your mind had space to breathe. It had silence between inputs. It had time to digest each experience, not just physically, but mentally. Modern life rarely offers that kind of time. You jump from one task to another, one screen to the next. Your brain keeps scanning, keeps predicting, keeps trying to find something familiar in the chaos. And sometimes, it doesn't. There's an eerie detail about this. Your brain doesn't actually know the difference between a real social threat and a digital one. If someone ignores your message or posts something passive-aggressive, your amygdala can react as if you've been shunned by your tribe, a scenario that once meant death in the ancient world. You scroll, your heart picks up. You read a headline, and your stomach tightens. It's not logic, it's limbic memory. The part of your brain that evolved to read faces across a fire now tries to interpret emojis. Researchers still wonder, what does this do to us over time? How does it reshape our inner lives when our outer world moves so far from the conditions we were shaped for? Some scientists have begun studying evolutionary mismatch, a concept that suggests many modern problems, from anxiety to metabolic disease, arise because our bodies and brains are out of sync with our surroundings. You're not alone in this mismatch. It's a universal dissonance. And yet, your body remembers. It remembers stillness. It remembers tracking a single bird across the sky. It remembers walking for miles in the same direction, not because of a schedule, but because the air smelled of water and the land felt safe. Tonight, you feel the trace of that memory return. You imagine yourself carrying only what you need. No apps, no errands, no deadlines, just footsteps and breath, just sky and soil. There's something oddly comforting about this vision, not because you long for danger or hunger, but because you long for clarity, for simplicity, for connection to a pace that doesn't punish you for slowing down. In this moment, you don't need to be productive. You don't need to respond or react. You're just walking, step by step, with a brain that was never made to live like this, yet somehow still does. You notice how the wind moves in pockets, how your senses reach farther in the dark. You're not afraid, not here. You're just aware, deeply, quietly aware. This awareness is the birthright of the hunter-gatherer brain. Not high alert, but high presence. Not constant fear, but respectful attention. You carry that capacity. It's never gone away. You might never live in the wild, not truly. But your brain remembers the forest. Your instincts still long for soft light, quiet spaces, and small, meaningful tasks. Maybe that's why a walk in nature feels so good, even when you don't understand why. It's It's not escape, it's return. You were shaped to live in a world of sensory balance, where each step had purpose and each silence had meaning. That world may feel distant now, but parts of you are still there, still listening, still learning, still walking. And so we'll keep going, not towards something urgent, but deeper into understanding. The path is still soft beneath you. The branches still sway. Your thoughts still drift like mist through ancient trees. There's no rush. You were never built for rush. The air shifts, not colder, but thinner somehow. You pause beneath an imagined tree, the bark smooth beneath your fingertips. There's a sweetness in the stillness, but also something pulling at the edges, a tugging feeling, like hunger, but not for food. It's your brain again, still ancient, still alert, and now searching. Dopamine rises like a tide, a molecule not of pleasure but of pursuit. It's what made your ancestors scan the horizon for berries, peer under rocks for grubs, or track the flicker of fish in the shallows. It is the chemical of what if and maybe soon. But now you chase different things. You check your phone. Just once. Maybe someone replied. Maybe there's something new. A reel, a headline, a like. Your finger moves before your mind catches up. Dopamine doesn't reward the reward. It rewards the chase. It whispers, just a little more. Here's a quietly fascinating fact. Dopamine doesn't spike when you get the reward. It spikes when you anticipate it. The brain lights up in expectation, not satisfaction. That's why one notification can feel like possibility. That's why scrolling never really ends. It's a feedback loop your ancestors never had to face. Back then, the reward might have been a rare piece of fruit, a flicker of warmth, a dry cave. Once you had it, dopamine faded. You rested. But now, the rewards are designed to never quite arrive. The slot machine never stops spinning. The videos autoplay. The notifications come in waves. And the brain, your ancient, honest brain, tries to treat all of it as survival. You can almost picture it. A neuron shaped thousands of years ago, lighting up as you scroll through images of food you won't eat, people you won't meet, problems you can't fix. It's trying to understand, trying to find the pattern, trying to complete the loop. But there is no loop. There's an eerie detail here. Studies have shown that people checking their phones compulsively don't actually enjoy the experience. They report more anxiety, not less. More frustration, not more pleasure. But they can't stop, because stopping feels like missing something. Dopamine whispers, what if the next thing is better? What if the next thing makes it all make sense? And so your thumb moves again. Even now, in the safety of your room, you might feel it. That gentle restlessness. The slight urge to do something, anything. But rest is not in the pursuit. Rest is in the stopping. You sit now, on a log beside a stream that doesn't really exist. But it could have. In another time, another place, you might have watched the water flow for hours. Not because you were lazy, but because your brain had enough. It had received the signal. Safe, fed, warm, complete. Modern life rarely gives that signal. It keeps you reaching, achieving, comparing. Your emails multiply. Your tasks reset. There's always another thing. And dopamine plays along, not because it wants to hurt you, but because it hasn't learned that the fruit will never fall from this particular tree. Researchers still wonder, what does long-term overstimulation of dopamine systems do to the human mind? Some believe it contributes to the rise in attention disorders. Others link it to burnout, anhedonia, even depression. When your brain is constantly chasing and nothing feels enough, eventually, it forgets how to feel at all. But that doesn't mean you're broken. It means you are beautifully, tragically efficient, responding exactly as you were designed to, but in the wrong environment. You look up now. Through the imagined trees, the stars pulse softly. You take a breath, deep and unhurried. There is nothing to chase here. No alerts, no rewards, no promises, just out of reach. Just now. Just the quiet rise and fall of breath. The low hum of your own existence. The part of you that remembers how to be still. Sometimes, healing starts with refusing the chase, with letting the loop unravel. You were not made for infinity scroll. You were made to forage and then rest, to seek and then stop, to reach and then exhale. Right now, you exhale. Not because you should, but because you can. The breath leaves your body like a tide pulling back from the shore. Your shoulders ease without asking permission. Dopamine is not your enemy. It's just a compass that's lost its north in a world of manufactured desire. But here, in this slowed space, in this ancient echo, it softens. Your brain remembers how to feel full, full of quiet, full of stillness, full of the sense that nothing is missing and everything can wait. No new messages, no new berries, just the stream, just the stars, just the quiet animal of your body remembering how to be. Let that feeling stay with you now. It doesn't need a name. It doesn't need a goal. It only needs this moment. You're still beside the stream. Its imagined waters flow quietly, tracing smooth patterns over stone. But now the wind shifts again. Not in warning, just in memory. Your body responds before your thoughts catch up. It's subtle. A flicker in your chest, a momentary tightening in your gut, like something unseen has passed through. And that's the point. Because your brain, this brilliant ancient structure, wasn't built for rest. Not really. It was built to survive. And survival means noticing the rustle behind the bush, not the safety of the clearing. It means anticipating the shadow, not basking in the light. Your nervous system is not trying to be difficult. It's trying to keep you alive. But it doesn't always know the difference between a predator and a push notification. Here's a quietly fascinating fact. Your amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for fear, is about the same size and shape as it was 100,000 years ago. Evolution hasn't changed its wiring much, but the inputs it receives have multiplied beyond measure. Back then, fear meant something immediate. The snap of a twig, the smell of smoke, the sudden shift in a bird's cry. It meant move, now, or die. But now, fear comes in softer forms. A news story flashes across your screen. Your boss's tone shifts in an email. A friend goes silent for too long. Your brain, doing exactly what it was designed to do, fires the signal. Something's wrong. Adrenaline releases, heart rate climbs, muscles tense, all for a sentence. Or worse, a lack of one. You carry around a full survival system, armed and waiting, but the threats are abstract. They have no shape. They leave no tracks. They never quite arrive. And that is exhausting. An eerie detail. Prolonged low-level stress, not full-blown panic, just quiet anxiety, can wear the body down more than short bursts of fear. The constant hum is more corrosive than the occasional scream. You've probably felt it, that lingering unease. The way your shoulders live a little closer to your ears than they should, the way your jaw forgets to unclench, the way your thoughts loop, not loud, just constant. And your amygdala is trying to help, truly. It's just confused. It was trained to react to predators and cliffs. But now, it's overwhelmed by possibility. What if I forgot something? What if they're upset? What if I never catch up? Researchers still debate. How do we soothe a fear response that evolved for tigers, not traffic? How do we calm a system built for lightning strikes when all we face are calendar alerts and subtle rejections? The modern world rarely gives closure. Fear builds without release. You sense danger, but there's no run, no fight, no actual resolution. Just more input, more scanning, more low-level alert. But here, right now, you get to stop. You are not in danger. Nothing needs your reaction. There is no next step. Just the stream, just the night, just the soft rhythm of your breath. Your brain will keep looking for patterns. That's okay. It's doing its job. But you can give it new signals. Notice the weight of your body where it meets the bed, the way your breath cools as you exhale, the subtle warmth in your hands, your feet. These are signs the brain understands. Safe, resting. Okay, you can almost see it. The amygdala, that little almond-shaped sentinel, slowly dimming its alert. The muscles in your back release a little more. Your tongue rests against the roof of your mouth, unguarded. You didn't even know it was tense. That's the nature of fear. It whispers, it holds, it stays. But you can whisper back, with silence, with stillness, with slowness. There's a reason soft lighting calms us, a reason white noise comforts, a reason we sleep better when someone we trust is nearby. The brain wants context, not logic. It wants to feel that all is well. You're giving it that now. This imagined forest, the gentle stream, the star-salted sky, they don't have to be real to be effective. Your nervous system responds to imagery, to tone, to repetition. And when you slow your breathing, especially the exhale, you send a signal older than language. We're not in danger anymore. The fear for now can sleep too. This isn't escape, it's restoration. The gentle unwinding of a system pushed too far by things it was never meant to process. You might wonder, can we rewire fear? Can we ever truly feel safe in a world that's always online, always asking, always alerting? Maybe not all at once, but moment by moment, yes, in choices, in slowness, in silence. The ancestors did not live without fear, but they lived with it, in cycles, in balance. They ran, then rested. They watched, then laughed. They moved, then slept. You can too, not by deleting your worries, but by letting them dissolve slowly in a space where they're no longer needed. This is one of those spaces. Stay here. The fear will pass, and you'll still be here. Breathing, listening, whole. You rest now beneath the hush of tall trees, where the light doesn't press itself into corners, but pools softly in hollows, like sleep itself. And in that stillness, your thoughts drift, not sharply, but slowly, like smoke trailing through the branches. You've always believed yourself to be a rational being, someone who makes choices, weighs pros and cons, and charts a course with reason. But what if that belief is only partly true? What if the thoughts that feel so clear and logical are actually following something much older, deeper, and quieter? Because while you can reason, your brain doesn't begin there. It begins far below. Here's a quietly fascinating fact. Your emotional brain reacts before your rational brain has time to form a thought. When you see a face, or hear a sound, or read a message, your limbic system responds within milliseconds, far faster than you can analyze or explain. You feel, and then you explain. Not the other way around. This isn't a flaw. It's how the brain evolved to keep you alive. Emotional reactions are fast. Rational decisions are slow. And when something moves in the brush, you don't have time to do math. You just run. But in the modern world, the danger is less clear. And so your emotional brain still acts first, surging with feeling, pulling you towards certain choices, pushing you away from others. And your rational brain is left to justify it. You tell yourself a story, a tidy reason, something that feels logical, but it started with a whisper, a flicker of discomfort, a subtle craving. And that's not weakness. That's design. You see an ad, you feel something before you think something. A little yearning, maybe, a slight dissatisfaction with your own life. And only afterward does the thought arrive. Maybe I need that. But the needing came first. There's an eerie detail in how the brain handles choice. When presented with too many options, your rational mind actually becomes less effective. Decision fatigue sets in. The emotional centers grow louder. You don't choose what's best. You choose what feels easiest or most familiar. This is why you scroll endlessly, not because you're searching, but because you're tired of choosing. Your brain was never built to handle this much. The rational part of your mind, the prefrontal cortex, is a relatively young structure in evolutionary terms. It's thoughtful, imaginative, capable of long-term planning and empathy in symbolic language. But it is also slow, and it tires easily. That's why, at the end of the day, when you're weary and overstimulated, you might do things you didn't plan. Order food you didn't want. Say something you regret. Stay up later than you meant to. Your rational mind has slipped into the background. The older systems take over, and yet, even in that moment, your brain is trying to help. It's not sabotaging you. It's protecting you from complexity. You carry around a parliament of selves, the thoughtful planner, the emotional responder, the fearful protector, the curious child. And they don't always agree. Researchers still wonder whether true rationality even exists, or whether it's just a story told in hindsight, a myth we tell ourselves to feel in control of choices that were mostly made beneath the surface. But maybe that doesn't mean you're helpless. Maybe it means you can start listening to the quieter voices, the slower ones, the ones that rise not from fear or craving, but from presence. Right now, your rational mind is resting. And that's okay. There's nothing to solve, nothing to plan, nothing to justify. You're not being tested here. You just are. You rest in the space between impulse and explanation. You notice a thought arrive, like a leaf falling on water, and you watch it drift. You don't follow. You don't chase. You just observe. It's a rare thing, this kind of inner stillness. But it's what your mind was missing all day. There's something quietly beautiful in recognizing that you don't have to outthink yourself. You don't have to fix every thought. You don't have to get ahead of your feelings. They are old. You are older. The rational mind has done its best, but now it can rest too. You return to the breath, the body, the imagined stars above. There is no logic here, only rhythm, the soft beat of your pulse, the rise and fall of your chest, the slow circular return of thoughts that don't need to be solved. Somewhere in the distance, a breeze carries a scent you can't quite name. Maybe wood smoke, maybe memory. It doesn't matter. It arrives, it fades, like a thought, like a feeling. And you stay still. Because here, there's nothing to understand, only to experience. You walk again, but this time through something different. Not a forest, not a field, but a quiet street at night, empty, still, lined with buildings that glow softly from within. The sidewalks stretch in both directions, yet no footsteps echo but your own, and somehow it feels familiar, lonely but not alone. You've likely felt this before, the curious feeling of being surrounded by people and yet not truly connected. On a subway, in a cafe, in a thread of endless comments and messages and hearts. It seems like community. But your brain knows better. Because connection wasn't always measured in proximity, it was measured in presence. Here's a quietly fascinating fact. For over 99% of human history, we lived in groups of fewer than 150 people. Each face was known, each name remembered. You'd share food, care for each other's children, track the moon together. You'd see the same people each day, not for a few months, but for a lifetime. And now, you might interact with more people in a single hour online than your ancestors saw in a season. But how many of those interactions feel real? How many leave you warmer, steadier, known? There's an eerie detail hidden in plain sight. Your brain treats social disconnection as physical pain. In MRI scans, the areas that light up when you're rejected or ignored are the same ones that react to injury. To the brain, isolation hurts, even soft isolation, even polite, subtle, well-dressed loneliness. Maybe that's why scrolling can feel so hollow. Not because others aren't there, but because they're not really with you. There's no shared rhythm, no synchronized breath, no scent or eye contact. The body craves more than words. It craves touch, laughter. A glance held a moment too long. And when it doesn't get that, it compensates. You stay busy, you stay productive, you stay plugged in. But still, something aches. A small, dull ache. Not sharp, not urgent, just there. Your brain doesn't understand why, in a world full of faces, you feel unseen. But you do, because screens don't blink in time with your heartbeat. Your ancestors would sit in circles at night, passing food, stories, gestures. Everyone had a role, a place, an identity that was shaped and held by others. Not performed, but known. Researchers still wonder, what does it mean for mental health when you replace ritual with routine? When relationships become curated instead of lived? When solitude is constant and connection becomes content? There's no single answer. But your brain notices the shift, and sometimes the craving for connection disguises itself. It becomes distraction, restlessness, that quiet sense of not enough that follows you into even the calmest moments. But there's a strange kind of healing in recognizing this, that your loneliness is not a flaw. It's a signal. It means you're still wired for tribe, for shared space, for hands passing bread, not thumbs tapping screens. And though that tribe may be harder to find in a city, or online, or in the silence of midnight, the longing remains valid. You pause now at a bench in this imagined city. A soft wind lifts your hair. No one sits beside you. And yet, strangely, you don't feel alone. Because in some quiet way, you're rejoining yourself. The part of you that watches, that remembers, that can be with the feeling of loneliness without being consumed by it. That part is not lonely, it is whole. And in this space, you get to feel what you feel, without hurrying it away. The ache of disconnection, the relief of naming it, the slow unfolding of a truth you always knew. You were built to belong, not to many, but to a few, to a circle around a fire, to a pair of eyes across the room, to a voice that says, I see you, without needing to say anything at all. Tonight, you don't need to perform. You don't need to respond. You can simply exist in the hush of this half dream, in the company of your own breath. And if that ache stirs again, let it. It's a part of you, a reminder, a quiet proof that your humanity is still intact, still reaching, still radiant in its need. Maybe someone, somewhere, is listening with you now, breathing with you now. Maybe their light is on too, and maybe that's enough. You lie still now. The imagined city has faded into dusk. No more footsteps, no glowing signs. Just you, somewhere in the space between waking and surrender. And yet, part of you resists. Not loudly, not out of fear, but with a familiar hesitation. A little tug behind the eyes, a subtle urgency in the chest. Because even when your body slows, your brain doesn't always follow. It's strange, isn't it? That something as natural as sleep can become so elusive. That in a world of softness, quiet room, dim lights, gentle voice, the mind still clings to wakefulness. But it's not your fault. It's the world. You see, sleep used to arrive like weather. It wasn't scheduled, it wasn't managed. It simply came when the light faded and the fire softened and the stars settled into place. Your brain was built for that rhythm, the gradual dimming of the world. Here's a quietly fascinating fact. Your body's internal clock is calibrated by light, not time. Specifically, the blue light of dawn and dusk. For thousands of years, the setting sun told your brain it's time to rest. But now, the lights never go out. Screens glow, street lamps hum, bedrooms become offices, and your eyes, those ancient sensors, feed the wrong signals to a brain that only wants permission to sleep. Blue light, the kind emitted by phones and LEDs, suppresses melatonin, the hormone that tells your body it's time to wind down. Even 15 minutes of screen time before bed can delay your body's natural sleep rhythm. But it's not just the light, it's the stimulation. 1,000 thoughts cue for attention. What you didn't finish, what you said, what they might think. What if tomorrow? The modern night is noisy, even when it's quiet, and your brain, loyal and alert, tries to solve it all. There's an eerie detail to this. Many people report feeling most awake at night, not because they're rested, but because their stress hormones finally dip just enough to think clearly. It's not clarity, it's the absence of pressure. And so your mind mistakes that space for alertness and fights sleep again. You might remember times when rest came easily. As a child, after long days outdoors, when the only noise at night was the wind through trees or the sound of someone breathing nearby. Back then, your brain trusted the world enough to let go. Researchers still wonder, what are we doing to our circadian rhythms? How long can we live out of sync with nature's clock before something shifts slowly, deeply inside us? There's no final answer, but your body already knows what it needs. It wants softness, darkness, stillness. Right now, you can give it those things. You imagine the world dimming, gently. Not all at once, but like a candle burning low. The edges of thought grow hazy, the colors soften. You let your mind imagine a horizon without buildings. A place where night means stars, not deadlines. You were not built to sleep by numbers. You were built to sleep by light. So now, imagine that light fading. The sun slips behind hills you've never climbed. A low fire crackles nearby. No screens, no signals, just breath. Even now, in the real world, you can signal rest. Feel the texture of your blanket, the air on your cheek, the way your tongue rests softly behind your teeth. These are cues your nervous system understands. You're not waiting for sleep, you're making space for it. And if it doesn't come right away, that's okay. Your brain may need a little time to remember how. You can let go of the expectation, just drift, just listen, just rest in the possibility, because sleep is not a task. It's a returning to yourself, to rhythm, to something older than electricity and noise and worry. Tonight, you don't have to fight for sleep. You just have to stop fighting everything else. Let the mind uncoil. Let the breath deepen. If a thought rises, let it pass. Don't follow. Don't chase. You're not missing anything. The world will keep spinning. The inbox will wait. The decisions can sleep too. Right now, only one thing matters, the gentle relearning of surrender. And your brain, it wants this. Not for performance, not to reset a clock, but because stillness is your birthright. You once fell asleep under stars. You once trusted the dark. You once dreamed without noise. You can return to that. Not by force, but by letting go. By remembering that you were never meant to stay alert this long. The night doesn't ask anything of you. You don't have to impress the darkness. Just be here, breathing, floating, unraveling gently into quiet. You're still here, quiet, suspended. The night wraps gently around your body, and your breath is slow now. Like a tide that no longer rushes the shore, just sways, back and forth. And your mind, still awake but softer, drifts toward another truth. You're not as good at doing many things at once as you think. You've probably told yourself, maybe even proudly, that you're good at multitasking, that you can handle messages while cooking or think through tomorrow's meeting while scrolling tonight's headlines. That you're productive, efficient, capable, but your brain disagrees. Here's a quietly fascinating fact. The human brain cannot truly multitask. It switches rapidly between tasks, losing efficiency and accuracy with each shift. The illusion of multitasking is just that, an illusion, and your brain pays the price. Every time you jump from task to task, your brain undergoes what researchers call a switching cost. It burns extra energy, reorienting itself, reactivating old threads, suppressing irrelevant ones. Tiny effort over and over becomes fatigue. Even now, if your thoughts are wandering, not slowly drifting but jumping, your mind might still be trying to juggle things it can't resolve. It's okay. That habit runs deep. Because the modern world rewards speed and punishes stillness. It tells you that pausing is laziness, that silence is wasted time, that if your mind isn't occupied, something is wrong. But your brain was never designed for fragmentation. Your ancestors didn't write while hunting or sing while making tools. They focused, one thing at a time, with presence. Even rest had its place, and it wasn't filled with content or commentary. There's an eerie detail in the science of multitasking. People who believe they are excellent multitaskers tend to perform worse on attention tests than those who admit they're not. Confidence in distraction doesn't equal capacity. The very belief that you can do it all weakens the muscles of deep attention. And your brain? It aches for depth. When you read a book, truly read it, or listen to a story without interruption, the brain enters what neuroscientists call the default mode network. A resting state, but not empty. Full of daydreams, memories, quiet insights. It's where creativity lives, where meaning grows, where the mind begins to compost experience into something richer than reaction. But when you never stop switching, that state never comes. You stay on the surface, responsive, reactive, rushed, and you wonder why peace feels so far away. Right now, though, you're not switching. You're here, listening, letting one idea drift gently into the next. That's what your brain loves most, continuity. Soft loops, predictable rhythm. That's what dreaming is too, a kind of slow internal storytelling where each image grows from the one before. So tonight, you can give yourself back to that rhythm. Even as thoughts arise about tomorrow or yesterday or that one thing you forgot, you don't need to chase them. Just watch, just nod, just let them float. They're not urgent, not here, not now. This is the hour for single-threaded thought. No emails, no toggling, just one breath, then another. Even the structure of this story is honoring that. One section, one focus, one calm unfolding. It's how memory forms. It's how rest returns. You may have been taught that being busy makes you valuable, that doing many things makes you worthy, that stillness must be earned. But your brain knows better. It knows that rest is not a reward. It's a requirement, like food, like water, like night itself. And focus, true focus, is its own kind of nourishment. Not the gripping kind. Not the strain, just soft attention. The kind that lets you notice the way your chest rises in time with the wind imagined through the trees. The kind that hears the hum of the room around you and lets it blend into your bones. You don't need to be efficient right now. You don't need to juggle anything. If a thought interrupts, let it wait. You can't drop the ball if you never picked it up. Imagine your brain setting down the load. A soft clatter, a sigh. Nothing falls apart, nothing breaks, the world turns, and you, just this once, stay still. Only here, only now. You're lying still. Eyes may be closed now, maybe half-lidded, drifting. The room around you seems to dim a little more, or maybe it's just your mind quieting. And yet, there's a flicker, a part of you still reaching, wondering, checking. Not with your hands, but with your thoughts. A soft, restless curiosity. What if I forgot something? What happens next? What did they mean by that message? It's not panic. Just low-level unease, because your brain hates not knowing. Here's a quietly fascinating fact. Your brain experiences prolonged uncertainty as a kind of threat, even if there's no actual danger. It craves closure, resolution, prediction, a neat shape to the unknown, and when it doesn't get it, it keeps spinning. That's why the silence after a job interview can feel worse than a no, why waiting for test results can be harder than facing them. Why wondering what someone thinks of you is more painful than hearing the truth. Your brain was shaped by a world where uncertainty meant risk. If you didn't know where the tiger was, it might already be too close. If you didn't understand a noise in the dark, you stayed awake until you did. Even now, those systems persist. Your prefrontal cortex tries to reason, but beneath it, your limbic brain whispers, resolve this, finish the loop, make it make sense. But modern uncertainty isn't like ancient danger. It doesn't arrive, then pass. It lingers. It hides behind unanswered messages, vague feedback, global headlines, shifting plans. And you, Quietly, constantly, try to make peace with what you cannot know. There's an eerie detail about how your brain handles ambiguity. It fills in gaps with worst-case scenarios. That's not negativity, it's protection. Because in the ancestral world, assuming the worst was safer than being surprised. But now that habit can trap you. You imagine the rejection before it happens. You prepare for losses you haven't faced. You rehearse conversations that may never come, and it exhausts you. Researchers still wonder, can the modern mind ever be truly comfortable with the unknown? Can we rewire the instinct to resolve into an ability to rest without answers? Maybe not all the time, but maybe here, now, yes. Because tonight, there is nothing you need to resolve. No outcome to predict, no message to decode, no future to foresee. You lie in the dark like your ancestors once did, not because you figured everything out, but because the night has arrived, and that is reason enough. You let the unknowing be part of the rhythm, your breath, your thoughts, the quiet ticking of a world you don't have to understand right now. Some things don't need clarity to be beautiful. Like stars, like dreams, like silence. You were not built to answer everything. You were built to notice, to wonder, to pause. And in that pause, something opens. The pressure to explain softens. The loops begin to loosen. The need to make sense slips into something more peaceful. Simply sensing. You feel the weight of the bed, the subtle warmth behind your knees, the gentle pressure of gravity anchoring you in place. All things you can know without needing to know more. There is no quiz at the end of tonight. No need to get it right. Your body doesn't require certainty to sleep. It requires permission, and you can give that permission now. Let the questions stay unanswered. Let the loops remain open. Let the mystery rest beside you. It's okay not to know. It's okay to float in, maybe. It's okay to feel a little unfinished, because sleep is not a conclusion. It's a surrender. And your brain, tired, buzzing, loyal, is ready. Even if it still twitches, still wonders, still replays. Just let it. It doesn't need to be perfect. Just softer, just quieter. Just here, in the half-light of maybe. You're floating now, somewhere softer than sleep, but not yet gone. The world outside still exists, but it's distant, like a story you once heard and half remember. And speaking of memory, you might think yours is failing sometimes, that you forget names, misplace things, can't recall what you were about to do, that your mind skips or invents. But what if that isn't failure at all? What if it's design? Here's a quietly fascinating fact. Your memory system isn't built to record facts like a camera. It's built to extract meaning. Your brain doesn't care much about precision. It cares about what mattered. And what mattered wasn't always what happened. It was how it felt, what it taught you, what to avoid, what to seek again. Your memory isn't a file cabinet. It's a sculptor. And it reshapes what you recall each time you recall it, which means the more often you remember something, the less accurate it may become. But also, the more personal it becomes. That's not distortion. That's storytelling. Because stories, not facts, were how your ancestors made sense of the world. The rustle in the grass wasn't just a noise. It became a tale. The shift in weather wasn't just temperature. It became a pattern. The face you loved wasn't just symmetry. It became home. There's an eerie detail. Even traumatic memories, the ones etched sharply into your mind, can shift over time. Not because they weren't real, but because your brain edits them for survival. Some pieces fade, others sharpen. You don't choose which, but your mind always acts in service of coherence, of meaning, of a self that can go on. And in a way that's beautiful, because meaning changes as you change. Something painful once might now feel distant. Something dull might glow in hindsight. A glance, a word, a smell might suddenly return like a ghost but softer. Your memories breathe. And sometimes they lie. But not to deceive, to protect, or to connect, or to clarify something your conscious mind hasn't caught up to yet. Researchers still debate, is it possible to truly remember anything as it was? Or is all memory filtered through the present self, the self doing the remembering? Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe the truth isn't in the detail. It's in the shape, the rhythm, the feeling that lingers. Right now, as you lie here, you might recall something. A face, a moment, a sound. But notice how it arrives, not in exactness, but in sensation. Memory is a mist, not a mirror. And tonight, you don't have to hold it tightly. Let it drift in and out. Let old thoughts rise and dissolve like smoke. You were not made to remember everything. You were made to remember enough to survive, enough to grow, enough to love. And when you forget, that too is memory, doing its quiet pruning work, making space, protecting peace. There is something soft in forgetting, something kind. You don't need to prove yourself by recalling everything. You don't need to regret what slipped away. You are not a database. You are a being, one shaped by feeling, by rhythm, by connection. And right now, in this still moment, your brain is not archiving. It's resting. Not organizing data, just letting the filing cabinet close. Let it close. You can trust that what matters will return when it needs to. And what doesn't can stay in the dark. You lie here now, not remembering, not forgetting, just being. And that is enough. The past does not need your attention tonight. The future can wait. Only this breath, this moment, this quiet continuity of self that needs no facts to know it is whole. You were never built for perfect memory. You were built for meaning, and meaning is here, in the quiet between thoughts, in the way your chest rises without effort, in the warmth in your belly, in the stillness that slowly, gently gathers. You're still lying there, body heavier now, maybe even fused gently to the surface beneath you. Not held down, just grounded. But your mind, it still flickers sometimes. Not with stress, not with worry, just movement. A leaf in a slow current. And that's okay, because your attention, too, is ancient. Here's a quietly fascinating fact. Your brain evolved to pay deep attention to one or two things at a time, especially things that change slowly in the environment. A rustling in the grass, the shift of a shadow, the pattern in bird calls. You were built to notice, slowly, carefully, intuitively, not to bounce, not to jump, not to be pulled 100 different directions in a single minute. But that's what the modern world asks of you. Notifications, alerts, feeds, replies, links, threads, every app, every tab, every platform, designed to capture your focus, not to hold it gently, but to harvest it. And your attention, once prized, becomes scattered, fragmented, drained. There's an eerie detail about how your brain reacts to this constant redirection. Each shift in attention activates a stress response, even if the stimulus seems small. You might not feel the spike, but your body reacts. Heart rate, breath pattern, muscle tension, tiny ripples of stress over and over all day long. It's no wonder you feel frayed. It's no wonder rest feels slippery, because your mind by evening isn't just tired, it's tangled. Too many tabs open, not just on your browser, but in your thoughts. Each one unfinished, each one blinking quietly in the background. And yet, tonight, none of them matter. You're here, and your attention, that precious, delicate current, can begin to return to you. Not all at once, but slowly. You start by noticing this moment, the sound of your breath, the feeling behind your eyes, the way your jaw releases when you're not thinking about it. These small, quiet cues. This is how the mind reorients, not with a jolt, but with a sigh. Researchers still wonder whether modern attention spans are shortening or if they're simply exhausted by environments they weren't built for. It's not that your brain is failing, it's adapting. But adaptation comes at a cost. What you lose in depth, you gain in stimulation. What you lose in presence, you gain in pace. But over time, the loss weighs more, because the kind of attention that fuels joy, wonder, creativity, that kind of attention needs slowness. Right now, you're practicing that. You're letting the layers settle, the buzzing stop, the constant redirect, pause. You don't need to check anything. You don't need to answer. There is nothing behind the next scroll, the next swipe, the next sound, just more fragmentation. But here, in this silence, you are whole, not pulled, not pinged, just here, breathing, listening, floating. You may remember moments when your attention felt clear, watching fireflies, listening to rain, reading under blankets, moments when your focus narrowed, but your awareness expanded. That's the paradox of real attention. It doesn't shrink you, it grounds you. And you don't need a perfect environment to find it again. You only need to stop chasing, let go of the tabs, the unfinished, the dangling threads. They'll wait, they're not going anywhere. You are not a machine. You are not meant to process infinite input. You are meant to feel, to notice, to rest. So let your attention gather itself, not like a soldier, but like a tide, slowly, steadily, with gravity and grace. If it wanders again, that's okay. Attention is not a leash, it's a dance. You notice, you return, and that returning is the practice. Each breath a cue, each moment a landing, each sound a soft reminder. You are here, You are listening. You are allowed to rest. There's nothing else to track, no task to juggle, no thread to hold. Just one thing, this, now. You're deeper now. The thoughts are thinner, like mist. The edges of your awareness are soft, like something blurred by time or fog or dreams. And still within you, there's a flicker of something. Restless. Not loud, not sharp, just a curious pulse. A part of you always reaching for something new. Maybe you've noticed this in your day. How you check your phone, not always out of need, but want. The little thrill of something fresh, a message, a post, an update. You don't even know what you're looking for. Just that maybe something unexpected might appear. That's not your fault. It's how you're wired. Here's a quietly fascinating fact. Your brain has a specialized system centered around the neurotransmitter dopamine that lights up in response to novelty. Not necessarily reward, not pleasure, just newness. Novelty is the signal that something might matter. In the wild, anything new was either food or danger. Either way, your brain needed to pay attention. So it evolved to reward curiosity, to chase patterns, explore changes, scan for the unknown. And in the past, that meant turning over a rock, trying a new berry, exploring a bend in the river. Now, it means refreshing a feed, opening a dozen tabs, jumping from thought to thought, app to app, voice to voice. There's an eerie detail. The brain's novelty system doesn't distinguish between good and bad. A shocking headline, a scary rumor, a strange noise in the night, all trigger the same response. Pay attention. And so you do, endlessly, even when it exhausts you, even when it overwhelms. Because at the same time you crave novelty, you also fear it. Unfamiliar faces, sudden change, a new job, a move, an unanswered question. Your brain hesitates. It wants stimulation, but it also wants safety. And that's the tension. The ancient parts of your mind are playing both sides, one whispering explore, the other whispering retreat. And in the modern world, that tug of war never stops. Novelty is everywhere, but so is the cost of overstimulation. You want to be surprised, but you want control. You want something new, but you want it to feel familiar. And that paradox is exhausting. Researchers still wonder if our novelty system, evolved to help us survive in sparse, slow-changing environments, is now being hijacked by constant digital noise. Some call it dopamine fatigue. Others call it hedonic adaptation. But you don't need the terminology to feel it. You already know. The scroll that used to delight now just numbs. The show that once thrilled now just fills space. The news that once informed now just unsettles. Because novelty without meaning becomes noise. But not all newness is shallow. Even now, as you lie still in the dark, your mind may begin to dream. And dreams are novel. Strange landscapes, shifting faces, impossible scenarios. And yet your dreaming brain embraces them without fear. Because they come from you. They are safe novelty, familiar strangeness. And perhaps that's what you're really seeking. Not constant stimulation, but wonder. Not distraction, but depth. You don't need more input. You need a different kind, the kind that arises when you let go of expectation, when you let the story unfold instead of skipping ahead. That's what we're doing here. Letting something strange and slow unwind. A story without urgency. A journey without goal. A novelty that calms instead of excites. So now, if your mind starts to search again for the next thing, the new thing, you can just smile at it. Gently, kindly, and say, we're already in the new. This moment has never existed before. This breath has never happened before. This version of you, this exact awareness, this exact position in time is entirely unfamiliar to the universe. And that's enough. You are novelty, and you are safe. You can rest here. No headlines, no surprises, no pings, just softness, just this. The world is far away now. The room, even if it's familiar, feels like a dreamscape, the kind that softens everything, light, thought, time. And in this hush, you can finally admit something. You're tired, not just physically, but somewhere deeper, not just today, but beneath many yesterdays, because your brain wasn't made to run like this. Here's a quietly fascinating fact. Your brain works in natural cycles of alertness and rest, typically about 90 minutes long. After each cycle, it needs a break, a pause, a change in rhythm. But the modern world doesn't honor that rhythm. It stretches your attention across 8-hour days, then pulls it into nights full of tasks you didn't finish. Then fills the remaining cracks with updates, errands, scrolling. The pressure never stops. Be productive, be efficient, be better. And the voice in your mind, so quiet now, repeats the messages it's heard 1,000 times. You didn't do enough. You could have done more. You shouldn't rest yet. But that voice isn't yours. It's inherited, installed, whispered through systems that measure your worth by your output. And your ancient brain never signed that contract. You were built for bursts of focus, of effort, of presence, followed by deep rest. You were built to follow light, to work when the sun is high and ease when it lowers. You were built to move your body, then rest it. Use your hands, then let them be still. There's an eerie detail in the science of burnout. People who spend more time working beyond their brain's natural rhythm don't necessarily get more done. They just feel more guilty when they stop. Productivity becomes a ritual of self-doubt, and your brain just keeps pushing forward even when it's signaling over and over enough. But right now, this very moment, you're stepping out of that current. You're not producing anything. You're not optimizing. You're not upgrading. You're just here, resting. And if your mind tries to tally today, the things done, the things missed, just let the numbers fall away. You don't need to earn sleep. You don't need to win rest. You don't need to be exhausted enough to deserve stillness. You are allowed to stop simply because the sun set. You are allowed to rest simply because it's dark. And if the voice of guilt stirs again, the one that says you should be doing something, you can gently tell it, I am doing something. I'm healing. In this softness, your brain begins to reset its pace. The stress hormones drift lower. The noise lowers with it. The parts of your mind responsible for vigilance, pressure, defense, go quiet, like guards relieved from duty. Because right now, there's nothing to defend against. No deadlines here. No metrics. No comparison. Your breath is enough. Your heartbeat is enough. Your stillness is more than enough. Researchers still wonder what would happen if we truly aligned work with natural brain rhythms. Shorter days, more frequent rests, permission to pause. It sounds radical, but to your brain, it would feel like home. Right now, you are practicing that rhythm, not by finishing anything, but by not finishing, by letting the moment stay incomplete, by letting yourself remain unmeasured. This rest, this night, this gentle surrender, it's not a break from life. It is life. The part we're taught to skip. But you're not skipping anymore. You're staying, breathing, drifting, refusing softly to keep performing. You don't need to be productive right now. You just need to be. Stillness surrounds you now. It's thick, like velvet, quiet, like snowfall. And inside that softness, a flicker remains. Not in your body, in your mind. Even as your breath slows, your muscles soften, your eyes rest, your thoughts keep moving. Why? Why can't your brain just stop? Here's a quietly fascinating fact. The human brain produces up to 6,000 thoughts per day, many of them repetitive, involuntary, and unnoticed. Even in rest, even in dreams, the mind thinks. And it's not a glitch, it's design. Because your brain isn't just a processor, it's a storyteller. It connects, recalls, predicts, imagines, even when you don't ask it to. Especially when you don't. You try to fall asleep, and suddenly your brain offers a memory from childhood, a grocery list, a what if, a line from a song, a face you haven't seen in years, and you wonder, where did that come from? Why now? There's an eerie detail. The mind often becomes most active when the external world quiets. When there's nothing else to focus on, your thoughts rise to fill the silence. It's not sabotage, it's maintenance, sorting, labeling, unpacking, like a night janitor in a library, moving through shelves, dusting the volumes you didn't even know you carried. But it can feel like noise. You try to silence the thoughts. You push them away. You tell yourself, stop thinking, just sleep. But that resistance, it tightens everything. It invites the thoughts to stay. Because what you resist persists. Your brain doesn't respond to commands. It responds to space. So tonight you offer space. Let the thoughts come. Don't hold them. Don't follow them. Just notice, like clouds, like birds, like dreams. You might hear one now. Something about tomorrow, or someone you miss, or something you wish you'd said. Let it pass. It's just a thought, not a task, not a problem, not a prophecy, just a ripple. Researchers still explore how mindfulness affects thought loops. How simple noticing, without judgment, can soften obsessive patterns. It's not about control. It's about curiosity. Right now, you can practice that. Watch your thoughts like distant headlights on a road you're not walking. Let them glow and fade. You don't need to grab any of them. You don't need to push any away. You are not your thoughts. You are the space beneath them, the silence they pass through. And silence is not empty. It's alive. It breathes. It holds you. If your mind stirs again, and it will, meet it with softness. No urgency, no failure, no frustration. Just return to the breath, to the weight of your body, to the dim room. You don't have to stop thinking. You only have to stop chasing. Let the thoughts walk ahead without you. They know the way back. They don't need your attention tonight. You are not here to fix anything, or remember anything, or plan anything. You are here to rest, to lie in the field of your own awareness, letting the wind of thought pass overhead. Nothing is wrong. Nothing needs to be different. You're not broken because you're still thinking. You're human. And tonight, that's enough. No final thought will bring closure. No last worry will resolve the story. Let it be unfinished. Let your mind keep weaving, if it must, and let you drift anyway. You're almost weightless now. Not floating, exactly. More like settling into the soft floor of yourself. The story of your mind has quieted. The thoughts that once spun around your head have slowed, like leaves in still water. They're still there, maybe, but they no longer ask for your attention, because something deeper has arrived. Not silence, not sleep, but rhythm. The rhythm you once lived by, before schedules, before screens, before the long unraveling of natural time. Here's a quietly fascinating fact. Your body carries its own circadian memory. Even blind people, born without sight, often maintain internal clocks aligned with the natural 24-hour cycle. Light or no light, something ancient persists, a rhythm born before clocks, before calendars, before the modern idea of time itself. And you? You're part of that rhythm still. It hasn't left you. It's been waiting. Beneath the alerts and deadlines and digital haze, your brain has always remembered the rising and falling, the pulse of light and dark, the ebb and flow. You don't have to earn your place in this rhythm. You don't have to train for it. You only have to return. Like coming home. You lie here, and your breath slows. Your heart softens. Your limbs go still. And something deep inside begins to hum again. The way it once did when you were small, and night meant safety. The way it does in animals curled in dens, and trees swaying in moonlight. It's always been there, waiting. There's an eerie detail in sleep research. In total sensory deprivation, humans still fall into rest cycles, a testament to how deeply rhythm is embedded in our biology. Even without time, we remember time. Even without clocks, we find our way back to the beat. You're doing that now. No effort, no goals. Just return. Each breath, a step. Each stillness, a memory. Each moment, a quiet affirmation. You are allowed to rest. You are meant to rest. And even if the world forgets to pause, forgets to care, forgets to listen, your body remembers. You can live differently, not by escaping the modern world, but by moving through it gently, by remembering what came before it, by honoring the rhythm that shaped you. It doesn't mean rejecting everything. It just means listening, noticing, choosing softness where you can. You don't have to always be still. You don't have to always be slow. But tonight, you are. And that's enough. So here, as your breath continues, as your mind drifts, as the edges of thought dissolve, you feel the rhythm return. Not loud, not demanding, just there, like a second heartbeat, like an old song, like a truth you almost forgot, but never fully lost. Let it hold you, let it rock you, let it take you the rest of the way. The world is still spinning, but you can stop, for now, for this night, for as long as it takes. And now, nothing more is needed. No more story. No more science, no more wondering what comes next. You've reached the part of the night where everything fades. The last of the words melt away, the light behind your eyes dims completely, and the breath becomes the only thing left. No pressure, no pace, just a soft rhythm, rising and falling. The air is cool, or maybe it's warm. It doesn't matter. Your body knows it's time. Your mind knows it's safe. Let the blankets become heavier. Let the bed feel wider. Let your thoughts, if they still wander, do so without you. You are not chasing them anymore. You are letting them go. Everything that had weight is weightless now. Everything that needed answers can wait until morning. There's no test at the end of this, no final insight, no bow to tie around the story. Because tonight was never about learning. It was about returning to something softer, slower, older. And now that you're here, fully, finally, there's nothing left to do. That's all for tonight. Let your mind keep floating or drift into sleep. I'll be here again next time.